We are live!
Hey, I am Older Dude, and he is.
Richard York, Asher's Trueborn son, and this is the Winds of Winter sample chapters, Tyrion 2.
Yay. I couldn't remember
You
this
want to?
morning. I was getting ready to text you. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's Tyrion too.
It is. Did you want to say anything about, well,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty obviously spoilers.
Offering flaws are in effect. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't read the books or even heard of the sample chapters, you're in the wrong place.
Okay, so I'm having internet troubles at the moment, so I'll catch you guys on the rewatch. Happy Friday, everyone. Oh, fixed itself. Well, that's good. Good evening, Kirsty.
Hey, Chrissy.
It's not too much longer than the last chapter if you want to go ahead and read it. I mean, we've already talked so much about the sample chapters and this battle and so forth that I may as well just read it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Somewhere off in the far distance, a dying man was screaming for his mother. We've mentioned this whole battle is supposed to remind us of the Blackwater and the catapults throwing the Antler Men. And Tyrion has a lot of discussions of people and dreams of people. Read. Fair enough. We're doing it. We're doing it. In the Blackwater, so there's more parallel here. To horse! A man was yelling in Gascari, in the next camp to the north of the Second Sons. To horse! To horse! High and shrill, his voice carried a long way in the morning air, far beyond his own encampment. Tyrion knew just enough Gascari to understand the words, but the fear in his voice would have been plain in any tongue. I know how he feels. It was time to find his own horse, he knew. Time to don some dead boy's armor, buckle on a sword and dagger, slip his dinted great helm down over his head. Dawn had broken, and a sliver of the rising sun was visible behind the city's walls and towers, blindingly bright. To the west, the stars were fading, one by one. Trumpets were blowing along the Skahazadon, war horns answering from the wall submarine. The ship was sinking in the river mouth, afire. Dead men and dragons were moving through the sky, whilst warships crashed and clashed on Slaver's Bay. Jerry could not see them from here, but he could hear the sounds, the crash of hull against hull as ships slammed together, the deep-throated war horns of the Ironborn and queer high whistles of Karth, the splintering of oars, the shouts and battle cries, the crash of axe on armor, sword on shield, all mingled with the shrieks of wounded men. Many of the ships were still far out in the bay, so the sounds they made seemed faint and far away, but he knew them all the same. The music of slaughter. 300 yards from where he stood rose the wicked sister, her long arms swinging up with a clutch of corpses. Chunk thump! And there they flew, naked and swollen, pale dead birds tumbling boneless through the air. The siege camp shimmered in a gaudy haze of rose and gold, but the famous step pyramids of Marine hulked black against the glare. Something was moving atop one of them, he saw. A dragon. But which one? At this distance, it could as easily have been an eagle. A very big eagle. After days spent hidden inside.
After all the stuff the dragon dreams when he was little, all he wanted was a little dragon. The excitement that Tyrion must be feeling. One, he missed a Drogon, so he didn't get to see that dragon. He knows there's dragons in this city. He's outside the walls of this city, and then now he knows that he's seeing a dragon, even though it's from a distance.
And
His
he
excitement.
must know the names and the colors too, because a dragon, but which one implies that Brown Bandit's told them about the dragons.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. After days spent hidden inside musty tents of the Second Sons, the outside air smelled fresh and clear. Though he could not see the bay from where he stood, the tang of salt told him it was near. Tyrion filled his lungs with it. A fine day for a battle. From the east, the sound of drumming rolled across the parched plain. A column of mounted men flashed past the Haradan, flying the blue banners of the windblown. And that's one of the catapults. A younger man might have found it all exhilarating. A stupider man might have thought it grand and glorious right up to the moment when some arse-ugly younkish slave soldier with rings in his nipples planted an axe between his eyes. Tyrion Lannister knew better. The gods did not fashion me to wield a sword, he thought. So why do they keep putting me in the midst of battles? No one heard. No one answered. No one cared. The characters are often wrong. Tyrion found himself thinking back on his first battle. Shay had been the first to stir, woken by his father's trumpets. What birds was he referred to before? Skeleton? Yes, it was referring to it's not actually the antler men in this case. It's the corpses infested with the pale mare that they're throwing. Tyrion found himself thinking back on his first battle. Shay had been the first to stir, woken by his father's trumpets. The sweet strumpet who'd pleasured him for half the night had trembled naked in his arms, a frightened child. Was all that a lie as well? A ploy she used to make me feel brave and brilliant? What a mummer she might have been. When Tyrion had shouted for Podrick Payne to help him with his armor, he'd found the boy asleep and snoring. Not the quickest lad I've ever known, but a decent squire in the end. I hope he found a better man to serve. At least a much better character.
Yeah.
It was queer, but Tyrion remembered the Green Fork much better than the Blackwater.
Of better character or a better character?
At least a much better character, because he says a better man to serve. She's at least a much better person.
Yeah.
It was queer, but Tyrion remembered the Green Fork much better than the Blackwater. It was my first. You never forget your first. He remembered the fog drifting off the river, wending through the reeds like pale white fingers, and the beauty of that sunrise. He remembered that as well. Stars strewn across a purple sky, the grass glittering like glass with the morning dew, red splendor in the east. He remembered the touch of Shay's fingers as she helped Pod with Tyrion's mismatched armor. That bloody helm, like a bucket with a spike. That spike had saved him, though, had won him his first victory. But Groat and Penny had never looked half as silly as he must have looked that day. Shay had called him fearsome when she saw him in his steel, mind you. How could I have been so blind, so deaf, so stupid? I should have known better than to do my thinking with my cock. The second sons were saddling their horses. They went about it calmly, unhurriedly, efficiently. It was nothing they had not done 100 times before. A few of them were passing a skin from hand to hand, though whether it was wine or water he could not say. Okoko was kissing his lover shamelessly, kneading the boy's buttocks with one huge hand, the other tangled in his hair. Behind them, Sir Garibald was brushing out the mane of his big gelding. Kem sat on a rock, gazing at the ground, remembering his dead brother, perhaps, or dreaming of that friend back in King's Landing. Hammer and Nail moved from man to man, checking spears and swords, adjusting armor, putting an edge on any blade that needed it. Snatch chewed his sourleaf, making japes and scratching at his balls with his hook hand. Something about his manner reminded Tyrion of Bronn. Sir Bronn of the Blackwater now, unless my sisters killed him. That might not be quite so simple as she thinks. Our characters aren't always wrong. He wondered how many battles these second sons had fought. How many skirmishes? How many raids? How many cities have they stormed? How many brothers have they buried or left behind to rot? Compared to them, Tyrion was a green boy, still untested, though he had counted more years than half the company. This would be his third battle. Seasoned and blooded, stamped and sealed, a proven warrior, that's me. I've killed some men and wounded others, taken wounds myself, and lived to tell of them. I've led charges, heard men scream my name, cut down bigger men and better, even had a few small tastes of glory. Wasn't that a fine, rich wine for heroes, and wouldn't I like another taste? Yet with all he'd done and all he'd seen, the prospect of another battle made his blood run cold. He had traveled across half the world by way of palanquin, wholeboat, and pig. And barrel, don't forget the barrel. Sailed in slave ships and trading galleys, mounted whores and horses. This is where I would have put the pig. All the time telling himself that he did not care whether he lived or died, only to find that he cared quite a lot after all. The stranger had mounted his pale mare and was riding toward them with his sword in hand, but Tyrion Lannister did not care to meet with him again. Not now, not yet, not this day. What a fraud you are, imp. You let 100 guardsmen rape your wife, shot your father through the belly with a quarrel, twisted a golden chain around your lover's throat until her face turned black, yet somehow you still think that you deserve to live? Penny was already in her armor when Tyrion slipped back inside the tent they shared. She'd been strapping herself into wooden plate for years in service to her memory. Real plate and mail were not so different once you mastered all the clasps and buckles. And if the company steel was dented here and rusted there, scratched and stained and discolored, no matter. It should still be good enough to stop a sword. The only piece she had not donned was her helm. When he entered, she looked up. You're not armored. What's happening? The usual things. Mud and blood and heroism, killing and dying. There's one battle being fought out on the bay, another one beneath the city walls. Whichever way the Yunkish turn, they have a foe behind them. The closest fighting's a good league off still, but we'll be in it soon, on one side or the other. The Second Sons were ripe for another change of masters. Tyrion was almost certain of that, though there was a great abyss between certain and almost certain. If I have misjudged my man, all of us are lost. Put on your helm and make sure the clasps are closed. I took mine off once to keep from drowning, and it cost me a nose. Tyrion picked at his scar. Get you into your armor first, if you wish. The jerkin first, the boiled leather with the iron studs, rainmail over that, then the gorget. He glanced about the tent. Is there wine? No. We had half a flagon left from supper. Quarter of a flagon, and you drank it. He sighed. I would sell my sister for a cup of wine. Sell your sister for a cup of horse piss. That was so unexpected that it made him laugh aloud. Is my taste for horse piss so well known, or have you met my sister? I only saw her that one time, when we jousted for the Boy King. Groat thought she was beautiful. Groat was a stunted little lickspittle with a stupid name. Only a fool rides into battle sober. Plum will have some wine. What if he dies in the battle? It'd be a crime to waste it. Huh. This kind of reminds me of Tyrion with Oberyn.
Yeah.
He was concerned that Oberyn would drink wine right before battle, and Oberyn was like, "Of course you have to." Anyway, hold your tongue. I need to lace this jerkin up. Tyrion being told to hold his tongue, that would never happen.
Well, that's the second time tongue has been mentioned so far. The first was he could tell someone was scared no matter the tongue, meaning their
I'm
no
out of
matter
the tongue. Yeah. Tyrion did try, but it seemed to him that the sounds of slaughter were growing louder, and his tongue would not be held. That sounds a little bit like randomly repeated hidden figures. In fact, it's going to become more. It's going to become more like that here in a second. Pudding Face wants to use the company to throw the Iron Men back into the sea. He heard himself telling Penny as she dressed him. What he should have done was send all his horse to the eunuchs full charge before they got 10 feet from their gates. Send the cats at them from the left, us and the windblown from the right. Rip apart their flanks from both ends. Man to man, the Unsullied are no better or worse than any other spearmen. It's their discipline that makes them dangerous, or they cannot form up into a spear wall. He's right again. Lift your arms, said Penny. There, that's better. Maybe you should command the Yonkishmen. They use slave soldiers. Why not slave commanders? That would ruin the contest, though. This is just a side-ass game to the wise masters. We're the pieces. Tyrion canted his head to one side, considering. They have that in common with my lord father, these slavers. Your father? What do you mean? I was just recalling my first battle, the Green Fork. We fought between a river and a road. When I saw my father's host deploy, I remember thinking how beautiful it was, like a flower opening its petals to the sun, a crimson rose with iron thorns. And my father, he'd never looked so resplendent. He wore crimson armor with this huge greatcloak made of cloth of gold, a pair of golden lions on his shoulders, another on his helm. His stallion was magnificent. His lordship watched the whole battle from atop that horse and never got within 100 yards of any foe. Never moved, never smiled, never broke a sweat, whilst thousands died below him. Picture me perched on a camp stool, gazing down upon a Sivas board. We could almost be twins. If I had a horse, some crimson armor, and a great cloak sewn from cloth of gold. He was taller, too. I had more hair. Penny kissed him. She moved so fast that he had no time to think. She darted in, quick as a bird, and pressed her lips to his. Just as quickly it was over. What was that for? He almost said, but he knew what it was for. Thank you, he might have said, but she might take that as leave to do it again. Child, I have no wish to hurt you. He could have tried. Penny was no child, and his wishes would not blunt the cut. For the first time for longer than he cared to think, Tyrion Lannister was at a loss for words. She looks so young, he thought. A girl, that's all she is. A girl, and almost pretty if you can forget that she's a dwarf. Her hair was a warm brown, thick and curly, and her eyes were large and trusting. Too trusting. Interesting that he thinks she's pretty and and he notices her large eyes. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Jamie with Brienne.
There you go. Well, also, he was at a loss for words. It was 3 times before that the word tongue has been mentioned. So lost.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
There's definitely
it's
some
huge
potential
foreshadowing.
quiet lie of foreshadowing. Yes. Do you hear that sound? Said Tyrion. She listened. What is it? She said as she was strapping a pair of mismatched greaves onto his stunted legs. War. On either side of us and not a league away. That's slaughter, Penny. That's men stumbling through the mud with their entrails hanging out. That's severed limbs and broken bones and pools of blood. You know how the worms come out after a hard rain? I hear they do the same after a big battle if enough blood soaks into the ground. That's the stranger coming, Penny. The black goat, the pale child, and 7 times never kill man. Him of many faces, call him what you will. That's death. You're scaring me. Am I? Usually, am I means obviously yes, but there are times when it is a particularly interesting yes, 2 of which are Tyrion. You are your mother's true-born son of Lannister. Am I? The dwarf replied. I say, you are mad. Am I? Danny shrugged and said, Dracarys. Joffrey sneered. You're the monster, uncle. Am I? Tyrion cocked his head. Perhaps you should speak more softly to me then. Monsters are dangerous beasts, and just now kings seem to be dying like flies. Good. You should be scared. We have Ironborn swarming ashore, and Sir Barristan and his Unsullied pouring out the city gates, with us between them, fighting on the wrong bloody side. I am terrified myself. You say that, but you still make japes. Japes are one way to keep the fear away. Wine's another. You're brave. Little people can be brave. The only time a man can be brave is when he's afraid. Anyway, my giant of Lannister, he heard. She's mocking me. He almost slapped her again. His head was pounding. I never meant to make you angry, Penny said. Forgive me. I'm frightened is all. She touched his hand. Tyrion wrenched away from her. I'm frightened. Those were the same words Shay had used. Her eyes were big as eggs, and I swallowed every bit of it. I knew what she was. I told Braun to find a woman for me, and he brought me Shay. This could be implying that
Mm-hmm.
he's being played similarly again by someone who is literally a mummer.
Mm-hmm.
It's comparing him believing Shay's fear to mummery while he's seeing the same thing in a mummer. Or it could be his inability to accept reality because he's so jaded from his past experiences. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a bit of both.
Yeah. George likes to do that, right? So you interpret it one way on first read and the other way on reread. Yeah, it's pretty likely. Hello, deck of cards.
Hey, deck cards.
I told Braun to find me a woman for me. He brought me Shay. His hands curled into fists, and Shay's face swam before him, grinning. Then the chain was tightening about her throat, the golden hands digging deep into her flesh.
I don't know if we talked about it then. I doubt it. We might have. The theory that Shay, Braun, Chicken, those that were meeting at the end of the crossroads were either in the employ of Varys or the employ of Littlefinger.
I think we probably did talk about it.
Now that I said Littlefinger, I'm thinking that we did.
So this is called Tyrion 1, but it's actually Tyrion 2. So and the reason we say that, and the reason most of the fandom calls it Tyrion 2, even though it's called Tyrion 1, is because George has read Tyrion 1, which he is, I believe, clarified was before this chapter. So while it's officially called Tyrion 1, it's actually Tyrion 2. Of course, there's not actually Roman numerals assigned to the chapters; those are convention by the fandom. So it's Tyrion is what it is, and it's a Tyrion sample chapter.
The no number in your book is also to try to confuse your memories, as far as being some type of order chronologically. Just like all the damn branches and all the names that are the same. It's just little things here and there to try to confuse the reader's brain.
So yes, this is the one. This is the one of the two that we have the full text from, and so it's called Tyrion 1 in the app. But we're calling it Tyrion 2 because that's what most people call it. Although it's officially it literally, I believe the app literally calls it Tyrion 1, even though it's not.
Mhm. And the fact that the reason is because of what's happening around, the other one has to come before this one.
Right. Yep. The golden hands digging deep in her flesh as her own hands flooded against his face with all the force of butterflies. If he had a chain to hand, if he had a crossbow, a dagger, anything, he might have, so Tyrion's worried that he was so mad here that he might have actually killed her, right? Killed Penny.
Yeah,
It
that's
was only
really
then,
that's to 0 to nothing like that. It's
yeah, it's only then that Tyrion heard the shouts, which does make you wonder if George is going to have Tyrion kill some more people.
probably that's the part of the arc that, I mean, he's past the midway point. So I mean,
Yeah,
for him to go the down the backside of it, the just all depends on how steep of a slope to monster he takes to get there. He's gonna be killing more people.
he was lost in a black rage, drowning in a sea of memory, but the shouting brought the world back in a rush. He opened his hands, which almost makes it sound like he was strangling her to death, which I know, I realize that she'd be reacting very differently if that were the case, and that's probably not what's going on here. I'm just saying. He opened his hands, took a breath, turned away from Penny. Something's happening. He went outside to discover what it was. Dragons. The green beast was circling above the bay, banking and turning as longships and galleys clashed and burned below him. But it was the white dragon the sellswords were gawking at. 300 yards away, the wicked sister swung her arm, chunk thump, and 6 fresh corpses went dancing through the sky. Up they rose and up, then 2 burst into flame. The dragon caught one burning body just as it began to fall, crunching it between his jaws as pale fires ran across his teeth. White wings cracked against the morning air, and the beast began to climb again. The second corpse caromed off an outstretched claw and plunged straight down to land amongst some younkish horsemen. Some of them caught fire too. One horse reared up and threw his rider. The others ran, trying to outrace the flames and fanning them instead. Tyrion Lannister could almost taste the panic as it rippled out across the camps. One word, Toodles. Or Quentin, maybe, is the better word for that description. But you get the point, right? So
Yeah.
if somebody's tuning in and hasn't heard us discuss Toodles' theory, Toodles believes that it's called the Dragon Tamer for a reason. That in fact, Quentin is describing what would happen if you bonded and went into your second life as a dragon.
Yep.
The sharp, familiar scent of urine filled the air. The dwarf glanced about and was relieved to see that it was Inkpots who had pissed himself, not him. You'd best go change your breeches, Tyrion told him. And whilst you're about it, turn your cloak. The paymaster blanched but did not move. He was still standing there, staring as the dragon snatched corpses from the air when the messenger came pounding up. A bloody officer, Tyrion saw at once. He was clad in golden armor and mounted on a golden horse. Loudly, he announced that he had come from the supreme commander of the Yunkai, the noble and Poisson Gorzak Zo-Eraz. Lord Gorzak sends his compliments to Captain Plum and requests that he bring his company to the bay shore. Our ships are under attack. Your ships are sinking, burning, fleeing, thought Tyrion. Your ships are being taken, your men put to the sword. He was a Lannister of Castle Rock, close by the Iron Islands. Ironborn reavers were no strangers to their shores. Over the centuries, they'd burned Lannisport at least thrice and raided it 24 times. Westermen knew what savagery the Ironborn were capable of. These slavers were just learning. I'd be dumb, but I just noticed Dany has a black dragon, and Aegon will probably have a green one. George really loves repetition in his book. Hope Val gets the white one. Interesting. I never heard that theory. I like it, Kirsty says. Captain's not here just now, Inkpots told the messenger. He's gone to see the girl general. The rider pointed at the sun. Lady Malaza's command ended with the rising of the sun. Do as Lord Gorzak instructs you. Attack the squid ships, you mean? The ones out there in the water? The paymaster frowned. I don't see how myself. When Brown Ben gets back, I'll tell him what your Gorzak wants. I gave you a command. You will act upon it now. We take commands from our captain, Potts said in his usual mild tone. He's not here. I told you. The messenger had lost his patience, Tyrion could see. Battle is joined. Your commander should be with you. Might be, but he's not. The girl sent for him. He went. The messenger went purple. You must carry out your order. Snatch spat a wad of well-chewed sour leaf out of the left side of his mouth. Quentin's second life, exactly. Yeah, I figured that's what you were talking about. Begging your pardon, he told the youngish rider. We're all horsemen here, same as Lord. Now a good trained warhorse, he'll charge a wall of spears. Some will leap a fire ditch, but I never once seen any horse could run on water. Kind of reminds me of the Dothraki's fear of the poison water.
Yeah.
The ships are landing men, screamed the youngish lordling. They've blocked the mouth of the Skahazadon with a fire ship, and every moment you stand here talking, another 100 swords come splashing through the shallows. Assemble your men and drive them back into the sea. At once! Gorzak commands it. Which one is Gorzak? Asked Kim. Is he the rabbit? Pudding face, said Inkpots. The rabbit's not fool enough to send light horse against long ships. The rider had heard enough. I shall inform Gorzak Zo'Uraz that you refuse to carry out his order, he said stiffly. Then he wheeled his golden horse around and galloped back the way he'd come, chased by a gale of sellsword laughter. Inkpots was the first to let his smile die. Enough, he said, suddenly solemn. Back to it. Get those horses saddled. I want every man of you ready to ride when Ben gets back here with some proper orders. Put that cook fire out. You can break your fast after the fighting's done if you live that long. His gaze fell on Tyrion. What are you grinning at? You look a little fool in that armor, half-man. Better to look a fool than to be one, the dwarf replied. We are on the losing side. The half-man's right, said Jorah Mormont. We do not want to be fighting for the slavers when Daenerys returns. And she will, make no mistake. Strike now and strike hard, and the queen will not forget it. Find her hostages and free them. And I will swear on the honor of my house and home, this was Brown Ben's plan from the beginning. Chapter over. Just kidding, but that's basically how it ends. Out of the waters of Slaver's Bay, another of the Carthian galleys went up in a sudden whoosh of flame. Jerry could hear elephants trumpeting to the east. The arms of the six sisters rose and fell, throwing corpses. Shield slammed against shield as two spear walls came together beneath the walls of Marine. Dragons wheeled overhead, their shadows sweeping across the upturned faces of friend and foe alike. Inkpots threw up his hands. I keep the books. I guard our gold. I drop our agreements, collect our wages, make certain that we have sufficient coin to buy provisions. I do not decide who we fight or when. That is for Brown Ben to say. Take it up with him when he returns. By the time Plum and his companions came galloping back from the camp of the girl general, the white dragon had flown back to its lair above Marine. The green still proud, soaring in wide circles above the city and the bay on great green wings. Brown Ben Plum wore plate and mail over boiled leather. The silk cloak flowing from his shoulders was his only concession to vanity. It rippled when he moved, the color changing from pale violet to deep purple. He swung down from his horse and gave her over to a groom, then told Snatch to summon his captains. I think the deep purple is a musical reference. Anyway.
I don't know.
Tell them to make haste, added Casporio the Cunning. Tyrion was not even a sergeant, but their Cybas games had made him a familiar sight in Brown Ben's tent, and no one tried to stop him when he entered with the rest. Besides Casporio and Inkpots, Ulan and Bokoko were amongst those summoned. The dwarf was surprised to see Sir Jorah Mormont there as well. If Brown Ben wants Jorah there, he's already made up his mind. And Jorah knows that too. Jorah knows that too. We are commanded to defend the wicked sister, Brown Ben informed them. The other men exchanged uneasy glances. No one seemed to want to speak until Sir Jorah asked, On whose authority? The girl's. Her grandfather is making for the Harridan, and she's afraid he'll turn toward wicked sister next. The ghost is already down. Marcelin's freedmen broke the long lances like a rotten stick and dragged it over with chains. The girl figures Selmy means to bring down all the trebuchets. It's what I'd do in his place, Sir Jorah said. Only I would have done it sooner. Okay. Why is the girl still giving orders? Inkpot sounded baffled. Dawn has come and gone. Can she not see the sun? She's behaving as if she were still the supreme commander. If you were her and knew that Pudding Face were about to assume command, you might keep giving orders too, said Mormont. One is no better than the other, Casporio insisted. We mentioned by having Malaza recognize Tyrion, George implies that she's better informed and more competent than the rest. True, said Tyrion, but Malaza has the nicer teats. Crossbows is how you hold the wicked sister, Inkpot said. Scorpions, mangonels, that's what's needed. You do not use mounted men to defend a fixed position. Does the girl mean for us to dismount? If so, why not use her spears or slingers? Kemp stuck his pale blonde head inside the tent. Sorry to disturb, my lords, but another rider's come. Says he has new orders from the Supreme Commander. Ben glanced at Tyrion, then shrugged. Send him in. So he specifically looks at Tyrion, he invites Jorah, and then he sends him in. Like I said, I think he's already made up his mind. Now, he's still very interested in any new information he can get. Don't get me wrong. I know he shows incredible information in what comes next here, but he's pretty committed at this point. Anyway, in here, Kem asks, confused. So Kem is very confused because he knows this is a bad idea. Here is where I seem to be, Plum said with a trace of irritation. If you go somewhere else, you will not find me. Out went Kem. When he returned, and I like how he says "my lord," right? Because he's the guy from King's Landing. Anyway, out went Kem. When he returned, he held the tent flap open for a youngish nobleman in a cloak of yellow silk and matching pantaloons. The man's oily black hair had been tortured, twisted, and lacquered to make it seem as if 100 tiny roses were sprouting from his head. Tyrion sees a boy who dyes his hair blue in honor of his dead mother, followed by a hair of roses. This can mean only one thing. Jon is a secret Targaryen. On his breastplate was a scene of such delightful depravity that Tyrion sensed a kindred spirit. Our characters are often wrong, although he does really want that breastplate, as we will see later. The Unsullied are advancing toward the Harpy's daughter, the messenger announced. Bloodbeard and 2 Giscari legions stand against them. Whilst they hold the line, you are to sweep around behind the eunuchs and take them in the rear, sparing none. This by the command of the most noble and Poison Morgar Zerzem, supreme commander of the Yunkai. Morgar? Casporio frowned. Oh, Gorzak commands today. Gorzak Zoeras lies slain, cut down by Pentoshi treachery. The turncloak, who names himself the Prince of Tatters, shall die screaming for this infamy. The noble Morgar swears. Bran scratched at his beard. The Windblown have gone over, have they? He said, in a tone of mild interest. Tyrion chortled. And we've traded Pudding Face for the drunken conqueror. It's a wonder he was able to crawl out the flagon long enough to give a halfway sensible command. The youngishman glared at the dwarf. Hold your tongue. Well, there's your another tongue there. You verminous little... His retort withered. This insolent dwarf is an escaped slave, he declared, shocked. He's the property of the noble Yezan Zokagas of hallowed memory. You're mistaken. He's my brother in arms, a free man and a second son. Yezan slaves wear golden collars, like Khal Drogo's. Brownman smiled his most amiable smile. Golden collars with little bells. Do you hear bells? I hear no bells. Little bells also reminds us of the Dothraki, and we had foreshadowing of how Tyrion would lead the Dothraki to attack Volantis. That paragraph put me in Star Wars just then. Which paragraph, I'm wondering? Anyway, I'm not sure which one you mean. Anyway, I wanted to figure out which part put you in Star Wars, but that's all right.
I'm kind of curious myself.
But anyway, you remember how when they were traveling by Volantis and with the on the pole boat and stuff, he said that you know, if I led the Dothraki, this is how I would attack. And it was like, George, we see what you're doing there. Suppose the golden collar and Princess Leia. Okay. Makes sense. Interesting. I wonder if George had Princess Leia in mind with Dany and the golden collar. Collars can be removed. I demand that the dwarf be surrendered for punishment at once. That seems harsh. Jorah, what do you think? This. Mormont's longsword was in his hand. As the rider turned, Sir Jorah thrust it through his throat. The point came out the back of the youngishman's neck, red and wet. Blood bubbled from his lips and down his chin. The man took 2 wobbly steps and fell across the side boards, scattering the wooden armies everywhere. He twitched a few more times, grasping the blade of Mormont's sword with one hand as the other clawed feebly at the overturned table. Only then did the youngishman seem to realize he was dead. He lay face down on the carpet in a welter of red blood and oily black roses. Sir Jorah wrenched his sword free of the dead man's neck. Blood ran down its fullers. The white Sivas dragon ended up at Tyrion's feet. He scooped it off the carpet and wiped it on his sleeve, but some of the youngish blood had collected in the fine grooves of the carving, so the pale wood seemed veined with red. All hail our beloved Queen Daenerys, be she alive or be she dead. He tossed the bloody dragon in the air, caught it, grinned. So you could argue that this means that Tyrion will take the white dragon.
Mm-hmm. That's also weird with the
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. White with red, with red blood. We've always been the Queen's men, announced Brown Ben Plum. Rejoining the Yunkai was just a plot. And what a clever ploy it was. Tyrion gave the dead man a shove with his boot. If that breastplate fits, I want it. Anyway, well, I did want to say that the point of the Blackfires to me is that they are Richard III, and so Bran is the point of the Blackfires, and all the Starks and all the anyway. No, there were names and places being said, very Star Wars sounding. It was on a spaceship. Ha ha ha. The various names and things. Okay. Yeah, with all those names being thrown around, yeah, I could see that. They are kind of Star Wars sounding names. I could see that. But yeah, the collar with the Princess Leia fits too. Anyway, so I like the idea that Sarah and Dorcas Varys come from Sarah, and that Sarah was the one that started the dance, the first dance and the second dance here, and the way they were talking. I get it, Kirsty. Now that you say that, the names and the sounds, I see what you mean. Thanks for clarifying, so that we were no longer quite as puzzled. Although it's kind of nice that there's multiple ways you can get there. But anyway, so I like the idea that George is actually giving us both dances being started by Sarah Targaryen and her descendant, Sarah Targaryen. So the key to the first dance, if you believe and I really like the Greenhand theory, is that George tells us 50 years ago. George tells us that 50 years ago, the seed was planted for the rebellion, and so their theory is it's actually the birth of Alicent, with Sarah Targaryen going through Old Town. That's what actually happens. That at that year, that basically almost nothing related to the dance happens at the year that he's pointing at, except that Sarah Targaryen goes through Old Town and then goes on to the Pillow Houses of Lys, right? And so, if Alicent is a secret Targaryen because her mother was actually Sarah, and if Dorcas Varys is a secret Targaryen because his mother was actually Sarah, or his sister in this case, I guess. But anyway, related to Sarah and descendant of the original Sarah.
Okay,
then the Sarah Targaryens are the ones who have planted the seeds to start the war. So if Dorcas Varys backing one of the factions causes the civil war, and Alicent Hightower backing one of the factions causes the civil war, then the Sarah Targaryen factions have caused the civil wars, and the second dance is caused by the same similar things as the first dance. And so I like the idea that Dorcas Varys is loyal to the Mad King and descendant of Sarah Targaryen, and his sister is Sarah Targaryen, or some close relative.
All right, 50 years ago, um, 50 years before the Dance of the Dragons, would that have put Queen Alicent or whatever her name is in Winterfell to
No,
have her? No,
no, this is not about Alisane. This is about. That's interesting. Your question is, could we do it another way? Could we
right?
make
Yeah,
it
the
be
50
about
years
Alisane?
after the
Interesting.
High Tower promotion. Could it be the beginnings of the fight between the king and queen? The reason she goes north, gets pregnant with the Stark-looking Targaryen that gives birth to Viserys and Daemon. Um, could the 50 years be plugged into that scenario?
Maybe that's interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure if that. Man, which year is Sarah Targaryen versus which year? Which year did Sarah Targaryen go to Old Town? Princess Sarah Targaryen was sent to serve with the Side Sisters in Old Town's parents for major scandal in 84 AC. Okay. 84 AC. She would have been Old Town roughly 84 to 85. She served in Old Town for 1.5 years, which is interesting because that's more than enough time to get pregnant and give birth. It'd be
Mhm.
cool if any of Jay's brood was actually a Stark. Um, when did Alysanne Targaryen go to Winterfell? Alysanne Targaryen's was Winterfell 58. So no, that's not very close.
So, how many years before the Dance of Dragons did Queen Alice whatever go to Winterfell?
We're talking more than 20 years before that, which was already 50 years earlier thing. Well, it's the 50 years before or before some other date that he mentions, but I don't remember. Um, maybe it's not 50 that he says, but it's some weird number of years that he says that winds up corresponding with
Okay, what was
Sarah's.
the year that the Stark-looking Targaryen born?
Well, presumably it would, if this is a theory, then um, it must have been like 50, 59-ish, right?
Uh,
In theory, if this is actually a
yeah.
thing. So anyway,
Mm. All right.
I like the idea
I,
though. I
I,
like the idea.
I get Chris to look it up since how he's the one who told me about it because he heard it from another channel, not my channel, but from another channel. Little butthead.
So anyway, I was thinking about that to me the Blackfires already have plenty of echoes because Stannis is Richard the Third and Daemon Blackfire is Richard the Third and the Starks are sort of monuments to Varys equals Varys equals Raven and Crow, Valley and Bosnian, Bali or Cook, Metalworker, Varys equals Red and Hungarian. Told you Varys is in Finnish and Estonian means Raven and Crow. Yeah, I like that. It'd be cool if any of the yeah. Did that one. Late 60 AC for Alyssa. Late 60. Well, she went there in 58, but it took a while, right? So she
Yeah,
may have been
she
there
was
long enough.
58,
She may have been there long
59,
enough. Yeah,
and
she may have been
then
there long enough. That's possible. Yeah, could only be Alyssa. Okay. I think Alyssa Targaryen with mismatched eyes is Bastard Stark. Yeah, that's what we're discussing. Now, does she have any
one
kids?
purple, one green. Yeah, she was the mother of Viserys and Daemon, right?
Uh, issue, right? Is that what they call it? Yep, you're right. Viserys and Daemon. Yep, and Aegon. Another Aegon.
Yeah. Who remembers Dagon?
Another Aegon that's not. There's a lot of Aegons.
That's his street name.
The youngest child of Prince Balon Targaryen and Princess Alyssa Targaryen. Hmm. Aegon died the following year. Yeah, so he didn't even live a year. So the only real survivors beyond of more than a year were Viserys and Daemon. But like you said, the whole line comes from there. So she's described 100% wolf. Daemon, Viserys. I'm alive, you imbecile. All right. He has risen. Aegon has risen. Anyway. So anyway, I was just thinking about the fact that you said things like, well, why else have all the Blackfire stuff? And my answer is because it's all Blackfire stuff. It's the whole story is about the Starks echoing the Blackfire Rebellion um, and Stannis echoing the Blackfire Rebellion. So now I'm arguing that the dance is an echo of the dance. That it's an echo that what's going on here is actually an echo of the first, the blacks and the greens, not the blacks and the reds. But this second dance of the dragons is supposed to be the blacks and the greens. He's already done the blacks and the reds. Like that's what the War of the Five Kings is. Although he's still got to do more of it because he hasn't done the Stark reveal. But anyway.
Well, stop and think about this. Anytime a bastard of House Targaryen causes a problem, if they hadn't specifically done like Bloodraven and went with the white or smoke white or whatever it is for a sigil, they're opposite of the standard sigil of the named house is the opposite colors, so it's going to be a black dragon.
Well, and I like the idea that they actually are lying to everyone with different things, right? The mismatched dice to me represents Chimera, Vantage Twin in the womb, etc. Yeah, it absolutely could be.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out where you got the green eye from. But I was telling Chris, Kingfisher from that we're told by whoever Leaf in underneath the Weirwood at Bloodraven's cave that, or is it Jojen? One of them, that you get the red eyes or green eyes to to proclaim a green seer or something like that.
It might be Brendan that tells us that. I'm not sure.
I can't remember what it does, but the red eyes and green eyes are definitely thrown in there with green seers. So if she had a dark purple eye and a green eye, and the bloodlines are Targaryen and Stark, that green eye from House Stark could signify green seer blood.
Okay, let's see. Let's look it up. Check the books. Dance. Red eyes. Brand chapters.
You gotta do look red and green eyes.
Blood or green is the moss on a tree. In a sense. I thought the green seers were the wizards of the children, Brand said. The singers, I mean. In a sense. Those you call the children of the forest have eyes as golden as the sun, but once in a great while one is born amongst them with eyes as red as blood, or green as the moss on a tree in the heart of the forest. By these signs do the gods mark those that they have chosen to receive the gift. The chosen ones are not robust, and their quick years upon the earth are few, for every song must have its balance. But once inside the wood they linger long indeed, 1,000 eyes, 100 skins, wisdom deep as the roots of ancient trees, green seers. Bran did not understand, so he asked the reeds. Do you like to read books, Bran? Trojan asked him. Anyway. Changers and green seers.
Yeah.
Shira has green green seer eye plus other eye. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
right. I remember that.
very, very odd that Bran has neither green or red eyes. Yeah, but Bran is
But
supposed to be the contradiction.
yeah,
This is the
but
paradox.
his wolf has. Does his wolf have green eyes?
I thought it was Shaggy that did. I
John
thought it was
says
Shaggy.
Shaggy has green eyes, and the other three have the molten eyes, or I can't remember. Yellow. Oh yeah, amber. Yeah. Thank you, Kirsty. Nothing like doing research in real time.
Golden. Yep. Golden. Yep. Uh, anyway, the cool theory is
So,
that he became one after Jojen Paste. Okay.
Oh, because he ate Jojen who had green eyes.
Yeah, Shaggy green, Ghost red. Ghost has red, Shaggy has green, rest have yellow or golden. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So does that mean that
Okay.
Shaggy and Ghost are the two more powerful wolves in the scenario? The one that I say is the oldest of the children, John, has red eyes, and then the youngest child, Wolf, has green eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's oldest and youngest.
But according to story canon, as far as people living in the
Summer.
story,
Summer is the one that Jojen can detect has the most power.
well, no, I was talking about the they think Rob is older than John.
Oh, okay. Well, Jojen specifically says that he can sense which ones are strongest and that it's Summer. Anyway.
Is he sensing Summer or is he sensing Bran through Summer? See, that's where it gets real confusing.
It's not. You're right. His wording is ambiguous too. So, but he says he's stronger than he knows, or something like that. He's the one that's stronger than he knows, or something in that sense. Jojen pastes his eyes, so in a sense, he absorbs green eyes.
Yeah, but I still like the theory that Rickon is actually stronger than Bran. Without any training and without the three-eyed crow or anybody, he goes to the crypts.
I do wonder if he's going to become, if he's going to become overwhelmed by Shaggy.
That's
so
possible.
John could have had foreseen Benjen's death when he touches him in his last appearance in Game of Thrones. Yeah, he does seem to dwell on that partying, so yeah, maybe.
Well, if he'd embraced, which his connection, I mean, it's from the get-go when it comes to Ghost, but
True.
His connection is more of I don't know if love is the right word. It is not master pet type love. It's just like they're two sides of the same coin. That I mean, they're two halves of but they're not
Yeah, he does have a sudden vision, doesn't he? Doesn't he have a sudden vision of him dying or something? Yeah, I think he does. You're right. I remember that now. Yeah.
So who has the strongest connection at the beginning of the book? Not counting when John.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's. Well, I mean, I think it'd be fair to say that based on that, though. I don't know. And we never really get a good look at what's going on with Rob, and he sure seems like he has pretty good control from the beginning.
Well, I mean, the older you get, the more settled into life. There was a movie called American Flyer where blankets can protect you from anything. The guy hits him in the head with a baseball bat and it doesn't hurt him because he's under a blanket. But you had to have that kid's imagination to make the craft that they made out of an American Flyer wheelbarrow. Not, I don't know, wheelbarrow is the right word. But they put wood on it and wings and all that stuff that goes downhill, and the kid takes off flying. But once you get past a certain age, when you're John's age, almost a man grown, the acceptance of magic dwindles. So with Bran and Rickon being younger, and Arya for that fact, being younger and farther away from being man grown and grown ups in this story, their acceptance of magic and magical things is probably easier for them to basically cross that bridge into the magical realm. And that's why it's taken John so long to even start having wolf dreams and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So your point is that Shaggy might actually be the most bonded just because Rickon is so young.
Right.
And that's why I'm worried that he might be so overwhelmed by it.
What's that
Something
one?
I think is not paid enough attention to is Bran, the Prince of the Woods in summer, Prince of the Green. But we know Jon and Rickon have visions. So does Jojen. Bran only receives dreams from the three-eyed crow.
Not only you got tree dreams, you got wolf dreams, you got three-eyed crow dreams when it comes to Bran. There's three different kind of dreams.
No, actually, that's not right. The the doesn't the crow show up in the tree dreams or something like
No,
that? They're combined. They're specifically. He specifically says that that those two are paired somehow.
No, there's one where he's having a tree dream. The tree calls his name, and then the three-eyed crow flies out of the tree and starts clawing at his face and pecking at his third eye to interrupt the dream. So they're not the same. Bran even tells us they're different dreams.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The tree is sometimes in the crow dreams. There's wolf dreams. There's dreams where the crow comes and tells me to fly. And sometimes the tree is in those dreams too, calling my name. That's always been my point, is that the tree is like this. There is a tree who's calling them north, but the tree is more like the sidekick of the crow. And if the crow represents Brendan, then what does the tree represent? That's how I always ask people is okay, so why is there a tree that sometimes hangs out with the crow and is calling Bran north? If the crow is Brendan, then what is the tree?
I don't think the crow is Brendan.
No, I think the tree is Brendan. That's my point.
Yeah. What if when the three-eyed crow is speaking to Bran, the connection to the magical is stronger, and Brendan being on the other side of the wall needs that additional magical oomph to try to make his presence known to Bran. I don't know.
Three-eyed crow being female is certainly interesting because that's what these books are about. This idea that God is actually a partnership of male and female, where the female's been erased. That is what the books are about. So that's an really intriguing concept to me, Kirsty. The Night's Queen, the World Wide Weirwood Web, the Night's Queen. Bran gains the power from Jojen Pace to explain how the Children of the Forest gave the gift to the last hero. Yeah, and I really do like the Michael Talks About Stuff video about Benjen. So he says that George has already told us what happened to Benjen, right? He's doing the same. He's doing the Gene Wolfe thing. He gives us the answer. We write it off as nothing. So, right, as you know, the first idea, the one that we've rejected, and it turns out no, it's actually correct, and that's so the first idea that we get is the Children of the Forest will save Benjen. And it's blurted out by Bran. He's not even thinking it. He's just told the answer. The children will save him, right? So we see that the children, in fact, do save people because they save Bran, right? And so Michael talks about stuff as George already gave us the answer. He told us that the cloak, that they specifically speculate that the cloak could have been could have been Benjen's cloak, that it was a new cloak that would have been newish like Benjen's cloak. So like he's already
Doesn't
given us all
make
the
a comment
clues.
about the thread, the way the threads are. It's a nicer cloak.
Yeah, it's a new cloak because I don't think they comment on the quality as much as they do on the fact that it's new. But anyway, you missed a chat. Which chat did we miss?
I ain't missed nothing. It's all him. It's just
We
conspiracy.
I read that one. I read that one. Which one did I miss? He sees his death in the snow. I started to try and look for that one. So I could have foresaw Benjen's death when he touches him in his last. Yeah, I do remember that. I was trying to find it, but then I got distracted by this stuff. We read this. I think. Did we miss one? Shaggy's green and Ghost red. Ghost is red. Yeah, everybody's saying the green and red stuff. We got that. Sees his death in the snow. Not paying enough attention to his Bran, the Prince of the Woods in summer, Prince of the
That one?
Green. Yeah,
You read
I like that. We did read it. After visions. We know John and Rickon have visions, so does Jojen. Bran only receives dreams from the Three-Eyed Crow. We definitely read that. Bran gains the power from Jojen Pace. Yeah, we did that. Three-Eyed Crow is going to be female. I went nuts on that one.
Yep.
The Night's Queen.
Uh,
I did that. You missed the chat. No, we didn't. We didn't miss the chat. What are you talking about? Three-eyed, third eye, which is violet amethyst. Yes, the watch refers to their mistress when taking of vows, etc. Oh yeah, good point. No Dario equals Benjen. You missed nothing.
Dario
I had my
equals
chats in different order. Okay.
got
You're looking and
it.
you've already tried to tell. Stop it. Anyway,
You already
sorry.
confirmed it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I definitely did show him out of order. That's definitely true. I definitely did show him out of order. Anyway.
Okay. Shame
All
on
right,
you.
let's wrap. Sorry about that.
All right. No, it's pretty good. I like it. Thank y'all again for joining us on the Friday.
We should start back. We should start back. We should start back. Well, what are we going to do next? We should start back.
There you go.
What's the first sentence in the books?
We should start back.
Yes. That's why I said it.
Okay.
So we just finished the last sample chapter of Winds. You wanted to go back to the beginning, so we should start back. I'm saying the first sentence of the books is a description of what we should do next. We should start back.
Well, then I can't fight that. I agree with it 100%.
What do you make of the Prince of the Green and the Prince of the Woods? What do we make of the Prince of the Green and the Prince of the Woods? She's saying Bran is the Prince of the Green and Summer's Prince of the Woods, or no, vice versa rather, right? Summer's Green. Got backwards there for a second. Yes, so Game of Thrones prologue. That's what we're saying about. We should start back.
Yeah.
I think that's right on in terms of symbolism and where the name comes from.
But that would make them both the prince that was promised.
Yeah, and do you think that both Bran and Jon are going to lose their wolves and have their wolves basically take second lives inside them?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's likely.
I like the werewolf theory that when they pull a lot of strength from their wolves, that's where the extra strength comes from with Jon. I think Bran might need that, because seeing how frail his body is, and how short Greenseer's lives are, type situation. So yeah. But all right, we'll see y'all Monday. Have a fun, safe weekend. We appreciate it. We're starting all the way back at the beginning by popular demand. And it'll be the new format, which will mean less reading of the chapter and more conversation,
more discussion.
Get brought up from what happens in that chapter.
As long as it's a video game, and starting back is system restore. that's how Twow works. Okay, I like it.
Alt Control Delete.
Bye.
All right, y'all have fun. Take care, and bye. Bye, Richard.